When I was a kid, I was introduced to sports games back on the Sega Genesis, which is still one of my favorite consoles to date. And one thing that always was certain back then was that there was diversity and availability of sports games. If you wanted to play a sports game of any kind, you had what we call options. That's something that we don't have now. If a developer made a bad game, you could always go to one better suited for your gaming pleasures. There were also alternative games that you could play if you didn't want to be a simulation style player with all the rules and a huge learning curve. So whether you were a hardcore sports game player or a novice casual, there was a game that you'd enjoy. Now let's take a look at some of the football games that you were able to play at one point. You had Super High Impact, Joe Montana Football, Tecmo Super Bowl, Mutant League Football, Mike Dicker Power Football, NCAA football. Who doesn't want to see another NCAA football game? You got the Madden series, NFL Street, and NFL Blitz, which both were alternative versions of the NFL game. And last but certainly not least, the NFL 2K football series, which arguably produced the greatest football game ever made, which was NFL 2K5. Won't get an argument out of me on that one. Now, basketball games were no different. There were a wide variety of games that were out, and many of them were out at the same time as others. So once again, you had options in alternative basketball games, and if one didn't suit you, then you can always find one that did. Now, there were a lot of these basketball games, and I'll name a few. Of course, I can't name all of them, but just to give you a general idea of how much diversity that you all had. You had David Robinson Supreme Court, Tecmo Super NBA Basketball, the Bulls versus Lakers. You had Pat Riley Basketball, NBA Shootout 97, NBA Courtside with Kobe Bryant, NBA Inside Drive, College Hoops, March Madness. We wish those games were still here. We love those college games, but you know how it goes. They're not here anymore. NBA Street, NBA Jam, which were both alternatives, NBA Live, and NBA 2K. NBA 2K is the only basketball game around right now with the cancellation of NBA Live 17. Not that Live was very good to begin with. So as of now, 2K is the only available option if you want to play a basketball game, and that's sad considering how bad the game has become with the pay-to-win formula, horrible servers, non-stop patches, and a toxic community that glorifies exploits and prospers from it. Now moving along to the baseball games. Now baseball games aren't as popular with some people as they are with others, and it's not as mainstream as basketball and football is as far as the gaming and the sports community. But the baseball game community have suffered from the same fate as the basketball and the football game community, as it went from having several options dwindling down just to only one. Now some of the baseball games, and of course once again I won't name all of them, but just to name a few, you had games like RBI Baseball, MVP Baseball, MLB 2K, then alternative game called MLB The Bigs, and the king of the hill right now, MLB The Show. Now don't get me wrong, MLB The Show is an amazing game series. It is simply amazing. It's the best baseball game series of all time in my personal opinion. But there's something to be said about only having one game per sport. It's a bit concerning because of what if the show gets lazy, cuts corner, and basically try to pull the pay-to-win format that NBA 2K does every year. Where would you have to turn? I've also heard the EA developers say that such games as NBA Street, FIFA Street, MLB The Bigs, and NFL Street didn't appeal to a larger demographic. Therefore, they decided to scrap all their future plans for those games. To translate what that means is this: larger demographic means everyone else outside the Black and Latino community. So whenever you hear larger demographic, they're telling you that people outside the urban community, which is white folks, we just call it what it is. So if they're not buying it, the developers stop making it. I think today's online community would strongly benefit from games such as those because it would attract everyone from the simulation junkie all the way down to the casual who only wants to pick up and play a game for an hour or so. Now I said all that to say this: you have three of the top American sports that only has one game for you to choose from. So if you want to play a basketball game, you're stuck playing 2K. If you want to play a football game, you're stuck playing Madden. If you want to play a baseball game, you're stuck playing MLB The Show. And if you enjoy those games, that's fine, but you got to look at it from this standpoint. If all these companies, 2K and EA, they don't have competition, it doesn't force their hand to be creative. It doesn't force their hand to be more innovative with the product that they're putting out for the people out here, that's the consumers, which are you and me. So I just said that to say this: I don't like the monopoly that these games are having on the sports game community. So that's pretty much all I'm saying. If you agree with me, sound off in the comment section. That's cool. If you don't agree with me, that's cool too. I'm out, y'all. Deuces.